Hello and welcome to Microsoft Hates Greg. My name is Greg Deckler, and today we're going to be talking about a couple of Microsoft Fabric polls that I did on LinkedIn, some more serious than the others, and what I think are some of the broader implications for the enterprise data analytics space and Microsoft's success in the data analytics space, as well as the success of Fabric, if you will. Okay, so the first poll that I posted, I just stated, Fabric is part of Power Platform. True, false, or wait, what? Now, to be very clear, this was a joke, okay? And I posted this handy little diagram. It's like, oh yeah, the Power Platform and Power BI, and expand Power BI, and it includes Fabric, and by this same logic, right? Power Platform is part of Fabric. And it could be, you could just reverse the diagram. So this was just totally a joke, people. It was just a funny thought that I ran through my head, and when that happens, stuff like this happens. But it's what's funny to me, which what I think is fantastic, is my LinkedIn following really gets my humor. Apparently, like not even my dad ever understood my humor, and most of my family doesn't understand my humor. But apparently, a large portion, like 30, large portion of my LinkedIn following gets my humor in for this. So I thought that was great. So appreciate everybody respond to that poll, and appreciate everybody finding the humor in it and driving this number up pretty darn high, if you will. Okay, so with that out of the way, the second poll that I posted was much more serious and something that I have a very big interest in, and that is, have you purchased a Microsoft Fabric capacity, right? And and this is abysmal. It's just this to me is an abysmal showing, because 8%. And because if you look at my LinkedIn following, my LinkedIn posts, right, it's geared for people to do stuff with Power BI, Microsoft, and Fabric, right? All I do on LinkedIn is post about Microsoft, Power BI, and Fabric, right? You can't get a more receptive audience probably, to Microsoft Fabric than the people that follow me on LinkedIn, and that is miserable. Quite honestly, and it's even more miserable, considering that fact, but also that even some percentage of this, and this is like 28 people, right, out of 349, 350 votes, 28 people have actually purchased a Microsoft Fabric capacity. And some of that number is people just kicking the tires on it, right? He's just like, yeah, mostly just kind of just kicking the tires on see the performance levels between different tiers, right? So, what strikes me about this is I keep hearing, and keep getting these messages that are thrown around LinkedIn, like, get ready for the Fabric tidal wave. The Fabric tidal wave is coming. Here it comes, and Fabric's been, people know to kick the tires on this thing for about a year now. And it's been GA for about 8 months. Right? I think it was back in like the end of September, October that it GA'd. Um, you know, so it's not like it hasn't been like it just came out, right? And where's this tidal wave, right? This is more like a ripple to me, right? This is sure as heck isn't a tidal wave in by anyone's definition, right? That there's just all of these people just jumping onto, Microsoft Fabric and this huge tidal wave and all blah blah blah. I mean, I just don't see it, right? And the real question that I really want to ask people that have this opinion of this Microsoft, this tidal wave, this Fabric tidal wave that's coming or has come or will come sometime eventually down in the future, right? Is where do you see it coming from exactly, right? Because you have your entrenched base of Power BI business users, right? And that makes up the vast majority of the Power BI users that are out there. I mean, so you're telling me that these millions of Power BI users, but that where 70 to 80% of their data models are single table data models sitting up in the service, you're telling me that they're sitting there going, oh, you know what I really need for this single table data model is I need a data warehouse or a lake house for it. It's ludicrous, right? Or I struggle with DAX, but I think I'll pick up some Python so I can do some machine learning. It makes zero sense. It's as ludicrous as my first poll, right? It makes no sense that that's where the tidal wave is going to come from, right? So okay, so then you have your Synapse users, right? Synapse users, oh, they're going to see Fabric and they're going to all migrate to Fabric and it's this huge tidal wave onto Fabric, but it's not easy to migrate Synapse to Fabric. It's really actually quite difficult, and you pretty much have to throw everything away and recreate a lot of it. right? But that's going to cost people hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to do. So, like, why would they do that, right? Where's the ROI on that to go by going to Fabric from Synapse, especially considering the licensing model differences where Synapse, is pay for what you use, and Fabric is more capacity based. So if you really know what you're doing in Synapse, you can do an incredible amount in Synapse for very little money, very little money. Probably I've seen people do it for a few $100s a month, right? Which you're into the F2 kind of capacity. So so I don't see it coming from Synapse because Microsoft hasn't made the transition from Synapse to Fabric easy. So and then the same story applies to like, well, these people that have already chosen Databricks or Snowflake or Google or some other data analytics platform, right? Are they going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars to redo everything that they've done in those systems and then redo it in Fabric? Like, again, where's the ROI on this? I don't see where this tidal wave of Fabric usage is coming from. And I mean, that's kind of the subject of, and you're kind of getting a preview of part 3 of my at scale blog, right, where I'm talking about is Fabric and directly a game changer for Microsoft. Parts 1 and 2 are out there, so part 3 is going to delve into this subject matter even more. But that's where some of these thoughts are coming from is when I was putting together those blog that blog series for at scale. So I just don't understand where people's thinkings in their head is when it comes to this Fabric tidal wave. To me, it's like a drop in the bucket right now. I mean, even Microsoft Bob, right? Microsoft Bob sold 58,000 copies, in its brief 1 year existence. And that was considered the penultimate monumental failure of Microsoft, right? Does Fabric have 58,000 like actual real net new capacities running? Right? I mean, is it even as successful as Microsoft Bob? I don't know if I'd take that bet. Now, the one place that I think that Microsoft could make some headway within the data analytics market, but it's going to be a kind of a long burn, right? Is that they can, because they're forcing their premium customers to migrate to a Fabric SKU, right? That there is an argument to be made that okay, you're already using Power BI Premium, you bought it so that all your business reports and stuff, your business users can use it all for free. And you're also using Databricks or Google or Snowflake or some other analytics platform for your actual real serious enterprise data analytics work, and you're not using Synapse, for example, right? Then I could see them making the argument, right? Well, you're paying for the same thing twice, so you should move. But again, the ROI aspect comes into play there in terms of how much it's going to cost to move all of those assets, right? And then re-engineer everything versus what you're going to get back. And I think Microsoft's hurt here. Like when I first started in the business, it was like the mantra was 3-year ROI. But I've seen that ROI number shrink over the years, right? Now it's like I've seen 2-year ROIs, or even as short as 1-year ROI, which means that if you make an investment, you need to have you need to make money back on the investment, but within 1 year. I mean, I think Microsoft could potentially buy their way into some market share with this, right? With that approach. Hey, you'll save money if you move off of Databricks or Snowflake and onto Fabric. And here we'll pony up $500,000 to help you do it, right? But again, where's the ROI coming from on this thing? I mean, literally all the development effort is going into Fabric, and you see that, and I'm going to post another blog article about this. You see that in just how bad Power BI has gotten, in terms of nothing is getting into GA, and all these preview features just keep on stacking up, right? And I think that's a direct correlation with all of that development effort has been taken away from Power BI and moved on to Fabric, and so Power BI is kind of getting short shrift on all this, which is annoying. So yeah, so I don't see the tidal wave, people. I see it more as just kind of a little drop, and it's a ripple, and I don't understand, where this tidal wave is going to come from. Maybe it'll eventually build into a big wave or something like that. But it's almost to me that Microsoft has a very narrow path towards success with this. And it's almost like more of a defensive ploy as far as the way I look at Fabric. It's to try to, protect its what little market share it does have around Synapse and Power BI and that sort of thing. I don't know. Maybe you see it differently. I'm definitely not omniscient, especially when it comes to predicting the future or anything like that. But those are my thoughts. Would love to hear everyone else's thoughts on this subject. I think it's a very fascinating topic. And would like to hear other people's opinions on it. So that's all I had for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.